Hey guys, welcome back to, I guess, part 2, part 3, part 4, whatever part it is. The continuance of this video, it will be labeled, of course, correctly in the description. So we're going to go ahead and work on working on this flower. Unfortunately, when I was recording the last time, the video, you will notice it shuts off at a random point. And I think it was during the blending, either me in the process of blending or before I started blending. And that's because I've run out of space and didn't realize it. So we're going to act like we're going to do the blending again. We're going to do the blending again as if I was doing it for the first time, because it's not going to matter. It's just the amount of layers you use to get a more smoother blend. So let me get the brushes out. You guys are going to actually also watch me remix the colors, the grayscale, because I did not. And we're going to use just the quarter inch and the detail brush for the flower. I think the 1/2 inch is going to be too much. But you guys are gonna watch me remake the grayscale that I will have here. I have my cup of water. And I've got my reference image over here. And we will go ahead and start this process. I do have a roll of paper towels instead of the cloth that I was using, since I'm going to be using the palette knife to kind of scrape things off. I'm not going to use my brush to blend or to mix the colors like I did last time when it's a big thing of paint, just because it's a hassle making sure all the ink, or not all the ink, all the paint is mixed out of the bristles of the brush. So I'm going to use my palette knife. That's why I highly recommend it, because it definitely prevents the hassle of trying to get all the really like scrubbing and making sure all that paint that's gunked up at the bottom is out. And it just makes life a little bit easier. So all right, so we're going to remix the colors. We've got our white, we've got our black, remember. So we're going to have black completely on one side, white on the other side, and we'll have 3 in betweens. We'll kind of have a middle tone. We'll kind of have a tone that's on the darker end, but it's not fully black. And then we'll have a very light gray. So let's get to doing this. Remember, I'm not using any, I'm going to try to make these type of tutorials as simple as possible, because I'm not going to use any mediums, like slow dry mediums or anything like that, because I want this to be something that you guys can follow along with pretty easily, without feeling like you have to go out and buy so many supplies, materials, things like that. So what we're going to do with I'm going to do this, because this is going to be that middle tone in the middle. And you'll always be able to, of course, lighten it or darken it just by adding, of course, black and white. And we can always pull from these 2 colors because they're pure black and pure white. So remember how we're doing this? I think we did tone 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I'm going to mix the middle tone first, and we'll see how that looks. It doesn't have to match exactly like we had the colors the first time, as long as it comes somewhat close. Remember, we want to make sure we mix these colors well, because as you can see, just scraping these colors up, you can see that there's still clumps of like pure white and like pure black, and you want to make sure that mixes well, because you don't want to accidentally get that in your painting. It actually seems pretty good for kind of eyeballing the color with the paint. I'm not going to worry about cleaning the edges as far as the edges like around here. I'm just going to leave it. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to take just a little bit of the pure black and I'm going to mix it in here. And we should have a very nice light gray here. And I feel like that might be just a little too light. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually, instead of dipping back into the black, I'm going to scrape some of this gray. I think I was able to get some, maybe. I'm going to scoop some of this gray in and mix it in with this. Now you can add a little bit of black if you want, but it just, for me, it made more sense to just scrape some of that grayscale in there instead of trying to just get a little drop of black pretty much without overdoing it. So that is the light gray. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to clean this up a little bit. That's why I have the paper towels. I like this. I can just kind of scrape this here. And I'll probably scrape it down the middle. You don't have to do that. I'm just doing it just to make it look a little bit neater. Actually, technically, probably looks a little bit worse. Whatever. We'll manage with it. I am sometimes a perfectionist when it comes to certain things, so I'm going to try not to let that bug me as much. So now we're going to do with the grayscale, or the fourth tone here. I'm going to take a dab of white. I'll probably, about that much, so you guys can see that's very little white on the palette knife. And we're going to mix it. I'm going to try to mix the color this way since I don't want to get too close there to that. And I can already see right now I'm probably going to need more white, but we'll see. I'm going to make sure I fully mix this before I get any more white. Yeah, I'm going to get some more white here. I can already tell. So I'm just going to clean my palette off completely because I don't want to contaminate my full white here. So I'm just going to get a little bit more white here. That's about how much I'm getting. I'm trying to make sure you guys can actually see like the amount and have like a comparison, because I know against the white of the paper towel it's not really helping. So
It's gonna restart my game.
Alright, so we're going to add a little bit more white here. Hopefully this will give us the gray that we are looking for. Yeah. And I don't know if you guys can really see a difference on your screen with what I've got going on here, but I can see a difference. You don't want anything that's going to be dramatic as far as the color shift, but you want it to be like a very, very dark gray. And that's going to be good for me. So this is pure black. Hopefully you guys can see the difference of the colors. I'm not really sure if you can because it's kind of wet. But hopefully you see at least a shift on your palette here, and you can see it on mine, hopefully. But yeah, let's go ahead and start painting. So I do have something to drink on the side of me, so if I take a break or anything like that, it's me getting something to drink, because I'm going to try to film this, hopefully most of it in one session, and then probably breaking it up. I think right now we're already kind of hitting the, where are we at? Almost the 10-minute mark. So let's go ahead and get to it. We're going to start from the bottom here. This is where we're at. So We've got my water. So what we're going to do is I'm going to, because we're going to use the second tone and we're going to blend it into like a mixture of the third tone and second tone, so a middle ground of these two. So let's do this. Let's pre-mix the tone that we're going to have for this part here. Let's kind of pre-mix it so that way it's already done for us. When we start mixing it, it'll be ready. So I've added a little bit of water to the mixture just to make sure it doesn't dry out too much. I think I need to add a little bit more gray here. Okay, I feel like that's okay right there. It doesn't have to match the picture perfectly, and that's fine. Like I said, we can do as many layers as we need to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the second tone and I'm going to slowly kind of lay it in. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then while that's still wet, immediately I'm going to clean my brush, get some of that tone we already made, and I'm going to bring it down. And I'm going to bring this back up. Actually, I should have cleaned my brush first. I'm sorry. Let's do this. I'm going to scrape this off. Sorry, guys. I should have cleaned my brush, and I didn't. Sorry. So let's try this again. I'm going to take some of the second tone. I'm going to lay it in. And I'm using the brush, and I'm kind of flicking up with the, kind of like the blade of this. I'm going up here. And so while that's still kind of wet, I'm going to clean my brush immediately. I'm going to get that mixture that I have, and I'm going to blade it down. I guess that's the best way I can describe like a blade format. And I'm going to clean my brush again. And then with a clean brush, I'm going to mix that light color into the dark color and kind of go back and forth. And then what we're going to do, I'm cleaning my brush every time I go back into these colors. I'm going to take that dark color again, and I'm just going to mix it in with what I already kind of had mixed. So that's kind of going to blend there. And then take a little bit, just a tad bit of that light color, and just flick it in. I'm not going to go all the way to the bottom again and flick it. I'm going to go halfway. And kind of blend that in there. So we're going to let that dry. We're not going to go over it again. And you see I kind of painted over where I had that light color here, and that's completely fine. We'll touch up on it again. Now we're going to kind of work on this part here. This is kind of, I want to say almost a second tone. Let's see what we can get. I'm going to get a little bit of this, actually, the second tone. I'm going to mix my color up here. Quite a bit of the second tone. And I'm going to get just a touch. I don't even think I picked up anything. A touch of the third tone here. And I'm going to mix that in a little bit. And I'm kind of doing these X motions to kind of mix the paint in. I don't need to really do a lot of like the hard hard X's where it's going all the way down into the bristles, because it's just a little bit of paint. And I'm going to lay it in. Doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to be so precious with the lines. And I think that's okay for right now. I might want to do a little bit darker. Not too much, just a little bit. And you can play with the tones that you like. If you feel it's too dark, add some more white. If you feel it's too light, add a little bit more of that that third tone. I'm gonna clean my brush. Cleaning it off with my paper towel. I'm actually gonna get a new paper towel, actually. I'm going to fold that here. And it's kind of mixing in with this tone here, and that's fine, because what we're going to do is we're going to define this area a little bit more, because this part is probably still drying, so we're still not going to touch that. This is kind of more of a mixture between, I want to say, the fourth tone and the third tone. So what we're gonna do, I'll wet my brush a little bit. I'm gonna pick up some of that third tone, and I'm gonna touch just a little bit of that fourth tone, and I'm gonna mix it here. And what we're gonna do, just so I can kind of have an idea of where this is coming, I'm just gonna hit where I need that separation to be. And I think the other part was like right here. So we'll come back to that later, but I just kind of need that separation so I know and I don't forget later on. All right, I'm actually gonna bring it out, and I'm not doing thick layers of paint. These are very thin, so I'm not like caking the paint on there. And even my mixtures are kind of watered down, so it's not like a full thick layer that I'm painting onto here. So we'll wait for that to dry. And while this is drying, I think I want to touch up on this flower here. So let's do this, because I want to I'm going to just kind of go ahead and get a little bit of water. I'm going to go straight into my second tone. Now, you guys don't have to do this right now. I'm just testing it for myself. I want to see, now that I have this black background, how it's going to look if I just do straight second tone, because I think this was a mixture between the second and third tone when I mixed it, with more of the second tone being mixed in. So I'm just going to see how this might look. Okay, so I feel like straight on second tone is going to be good for this one. And like I said, it's very light. I'm dipping my brush into the paint. I'm picking up or into the water, picking up a little bit of paint. So it's a little bit watered down. So it's thin, and kind of laying that on there. And I feel like that actually works pretty well. So what I'm going to do, because this is straight second tone, here's what I'm going to do to kind of help you guys too. I hope this will come off later. If not, I'll figure out a way to get it off. I'm going to do this is 4, 3, 5 tones. God damn it. Sorry, guys. So is this dry? Okay, there we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. Hopefully you can see that. They're numbered. So we're on second tone right here. And I'm just literally water. Actually, I don't know if I added to it. Watered second tone, laying that in. And that actually seems to work pretty well with this. Now that I have that black background, I kind of have a better feel for the tone of the actual painting. So what I'm going to do, because this right here seems to be like a second tone, or I'm sorry, like a third tone with a little bit of second tone. So what we're going to do is we're going to clean our brush fully, dry it. I'm going to pick up a little bit of third tone, and I'm going to mix it up here just so it's out the way. I'm going to pick up a little bit of this second tone, and it's okay if you get a little bit of paint there, that's fine. And we're going to mix it. I'm probably going to get a little bit more of the second tone. I'm just picking up a little bit of water. I'm not cleaning my brush. I'm just picking up a little bit of water so I can get more of that second tone, that watered second tone in there. Okay, so what we're going to do, I'm going to clean my brush here. So I've got my mixture. We kind of have to work quick because acrylic, especially being watered thin as it is, does dry quickly. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that second tone, that straight second tone, right? A little bit of, it's watered down a little bit. And I'm going to kind of, like I said, do a little edge part where I'm kind of marking where I want that blend to kind of start. I'm going to clean my brush really quickly. I'm going to get that mixture that I have, and I'm going to bring it down into where I want it. And then, and it's okay if you pick up a little bit of that second tone, that's fine. It's just going to help with the blend a little bit. And I'm going to clean my brush really quick, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to that second tone and kind of flick it upward. And then you'll have this area where it's kind of already mixing. And then what we're going to do is we're just kind of sweep back and forth a little bit to kind of help blend. You don't need to sweep all the way up. So when I'm going to get close to kind of show you guys, I'm not sweeping all the way up here. Again, I'm staying in this kind of like middle area and kind of just sweeping back and forth. And what we're going to do is we're going to allow this to dry before we add another color to help try to smooth that blend some more. So this area is dry here. And then what I think we're going to do, I want this to be a second tone, because that is almost the same as this, right? I want to see how just this being a second tone, how that might play out. So I'm going to add a little bit of water to my brush. I'm going to pick up straight second tone, or as much of a straight second tone as I can. And I'm just going to kind of flick it up and kind of see. Okay, that actually works for me. So I can do that. And then what I'm going to do is, because this is like a mixture of the third tone and second tone, remember? So a little bit of that second tone, or third tone, pick up a little bit of that second tone. I'm going to mix it. I'm going to water it a little bit. Clean my brush. I'm just going to kind of bring this down into this second tone that I laid out. I'm going to clean my brush again. And so where you had that cross intersection, like right here, we're just going to blend that second tone up, and then we're going to do this crossing here. I'm going to clean my brush one more time because I want to blend this second tone a little bit further up to help with the blend here. See what I mean? Hopefully. It looks a little bit more smoother. So I'm going to continue to do that. I'm just kind of wiping off the excess paint here. I feel like that's definitely a better transition than what I previously had. And really acrylic painting, when you're learning this stuff, because I'm kind of relearning this as we're doing this too, so don't feel like I have everything down packed as well. But it's really about experimenting and seeing what works for you, what doesn't. Don't be afraid to experiment. Try different things. If you feel like the 1/4 inch brush is too wide for you still, go down to your detailed brush. But try to use the bigger brush until, especially since we're not doing something extremely small, try to wait to use the detail brush until we actually get into the details. So let's move on. Let's work on these. I forget. I guess I really should look these up. Actually, let me look this up because I want to actually start using the names. Here we go. But just give me images, Jesus Christ. Sorry guys, I'm actually trying to pull this up. So these are called statmen. I think that's how you pronounce it. The things that have the pollen on them. So we are going to work on those. As you can see in the picture, hopefully you have yours downloaded and pulled up. They are not straight black. They are more of like a mixture between third and fourth tone. And the line down it, we're not going to worry about that. If we want to, we can maybe worry about it later, but it's not a huge thing. We're going to just worry about the main color. So what we're going to do is we're going to mix a little bit of this third tone with the fourth tone. So we're going to wet our brush here. I'm going to pick up the third tone first because that's the lighter color. I can pick up a little bit of this fourth tone, probably picked a little bit too much. And I'm just going to mix this here. I feel like that's too light, so I'm going to pick that a little bit more of that fourth tone back up, and I'm just going to mix it. I feel like that's good right there. Actually, I'll probably going to go just a little bit darker and pick up a little bit more of that fourth tone. All right, so I think I've got it mixed pretty well. We'll add a little bit of water just so I can kind of thin this out. And then I'm just going to literally fill these in. And you got to remember, because we're watering this paint down before applying it to the canvas, when it dries, it's gonna seem more transparent than what it looks like when you first put it down. And I'll give you an example as soon as I do these. There's another one here. There we go. And here's what I mean by that. Because remember, when as we've been mixing these colors, we've been adding water, right? Especially here and here we did these, right? Look at how you can still see the wash that we did. Hopefully you can see it. I'll bring it a little bit closer. You can somewhat see the wash that we've been kind of laying down still through the paint that we've laid down as well, because we're doing thin layers of paint. We're not just putting globs of paint onto the image. This is pretty dry. And with it being thin paint, thin watered out paint, it is going to probably dry and absorb pretty quickly, especially since we're using canvas paper versus actual canvas. So I'm going to actually work on this part again. So we're going to get some more of that second tone. It was straight second tone, and then a mixture of second tone and third tone, right? So what I'm going to do is, my scraper is in my thing. You know what? That's fine. I have a huge palette I can work with. Actually, I'm going to use my scraper because I would recommend you guys using your full palette, but because I'm kind of limited to what you guys might be able to see, I'm going to scrape this off so you can still see what I'm mixing up here. So you don't have to do this part, but I'm going to, so that way it makes it easier for you guys to actually see the colors that I'm mixing. And if I get too high up on my palette, I don't risk the chance of you guys, or I don't miss the likelihood of you guys not being able to see what I'm mixing. I'm just going to clean this up a little bit. So yeah, I'm just going to pick this up. I got paint on my hands, that's fine. I'm going to try to clean this up. So I've got to, there we go. Boom. Look at that, skills. All right, there we go. So we're going to work here again. And if you guys at any point in time get tired, exhausted, you run out of time to work on the painting, put it down, come back to it later. There's no need to feel like you have to do everything as quickly as me, or do everything all at once. If you need to take multiple breaks, or if you need to repaint something multiple times, even though I've only painted it, say if I did a paint over 3 times to get a blend, if you have to do it 5 times, that's fine. Sometimes paints just work like that, and especially because the paints may not act the same, the tones may not be exactly the same, all that stuff. Don't feel like you have to do exactly like me. It's okay to, if you needed that extra time or those extra layers, do it. It's completely fine. So once again, laying down the second tone, right? I should have pre-mixed my color. I'm sorry I didn't. The third tone, a little bit of the second tone. We're gonna mix it. And that's about that's probably about the color I would want. I'm going to bring this down here. All right. Kind of get to where it meets that second tone. I'm gonna clean my brush, dry it, then I'm gonna go back into that second tone and lift it up into that previous tone. Then I'm going to kind of lightly go ahead and cross here, and hopefully the blending it should be a little bit easier for you guys. I'm going to go back into that second tone a little bit, and just, I feel like I went too far down. I'm just going to blend it up some more. But hopefully the blending should look a lot smoother and should feel a lot smoother when you're blending, because you're starting to put actual layers down of paint on this paper, and it should allow things to blend a little bit smoother. So hopefully you guys can see this blend that I did. So I'm gonna probably do a little bit more blend here at the top part, because you can see this hard edge blend, or this hard edge here. We'll work with that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to take a little bit of this. I'm actually gonna do pre-mix my color. I'm gonna get some more of that third tone, just a hint of that second tone. I'm going to blend it. Probably going to do a little bit more, a little bit more of that second tone. A little bit more of that third tone, because it's not where I want it to be. And that's cool. If you have to keep mixing and mixing until you think you've got it right where you want it, that is completely fine. Okay, so I've got that tone mixed. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just get a little bit of water on my brush here. Pick up that mixture, and I'm going to go right where I want that, right where that flower starts, to with that dark part, right? And I'm going to blend it down. And I'm going to go a little bit further than I would like, because what I'm going to do is I'm now going to take a little bit of this second blend that's a little bit watered down, second tone, sorry, and I'm going to kind of blend it up here. And I've got a little bit of that mixed paint on there, because they've been mixing, because I'm dragging one into the other, right? And then I'm going to clean my brush real quick. And then with the dry brush, I'm going to go back to that tone up here, and I'm just going to drag it down into what we've already got mixed. So that tone, and then I'm gonna go back and get a little bit of this second tone. I'm gonna water that down. I'm just gonna go up just a little bit with it. I'm probably going to stop. I'm just kind of flicking it up. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean my brush again. With a dry brush, I'm going to just kind of, the paint that I've had, I'm going to just bring it down here. And I've picked up some of that white, too much of that white, so I'm going to clean my brush off on the paper towel and then just kind of drag it here. Clean it off again just because I know I've been picking up some of that white here, and kind of continue to blend it down here. I'm going to dry it off again and then just continue to kind of lightly scrape, guys. We're not digging into, we're just lightly kind of scraping. Not even scraping, just kind of brushing against. So that blend is a little bit better than what we originally started at. So we're going to let this dry. And once again, we'll probably do another layer over it again. Especially because we've got a lot more of the second tone here kind of really cutting in. So we'll end up working on that as well. So, but we'll keep that for right now. I want to work on this petal, this part here, but I'm going to need my detail brush because the very thin part of the petals here. So let's do that. We've kind of already, if it's the same color as this, we've kind of already established that this is the second tone, right? So I'm going to wet my brush here. I'm going to get some of that second tone, a very little bit. That's how much I've got on this bristle. Very little bit. And I'm just going to kind of outline where that second tone is going to go here. And trying to remember where, if you can see your lines, cool. If not, that's fine. We can always fix up the edges later, but trying to follow what I've already laid down here. And sorry if my head gets in the way, but I kind of need to see what I'm doing here. And I'm just picking up a little bit at a time. All right, so this under part, we still got more of a second tone here. And then this kind of is like a mixture of a second and third. So I'm not going to worry about that too much right now. I just want to kind of lay this second tone down. Right along the edges, because I know that's where it is. All right. I'm even going to blend this up a little bit because I'm not going to follow this exactly, because this mixture, this in between of second and third kind of goes almost all the way down and is almost pretty much at the tip. I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have a lot of this being second tone and then a small transition of the mixture of second and third, like right here. So do not feel like you have to follow your reference exactly, because you don't. Like here, if I wanted to, I can kind of keep it this way if I wanted to and just go back and really flesh out the blending, but I do kind of like this transition here. I think I want to keep like this part here. So, but yeah, so going up a little bit here, that's fine. So what I'm going to do is, because we're working with the detail brush right now, I'm going to get my 1/4 inch. I'm going to pre-mix my color first. I'm going to clean this up. You guys don't have to do this, but like I said, the reason as to why I'm doing this is so you guys I don't accidentally mix a color off screen. I don't know what the heck that was. I'm going to pre-mix this color here. So it's a little, like I said before, it's a little bit, I'm going to add water so I don't have to add more water. I'm going to get a little bit of that third tone. I'm going to clean my brush here just because I want to. I'm going to get a little bit of that second tone here. And then this is what I'm going to do because I don't want to worry about making sure I don't have paint sitting on. I'm just going to use my palette knife and kind of mix these two here. I'm just smushing it. And what I'm going to do, all right, boom. I'm gonna get a little bit of water on my small brush here. Pick a little bit of this color up, and I'm just going to start laying it down. But then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna clean my brush real quick and get some straight second tone here and kind of blend it in and kind of just go over and help mix it a little bit. Clean that brush, second tone, and I'm gonna go up into what is already wet paint. I'm gonna clean the brush, grab more second tone, go here and kind of blend it in here. Like I said, I'm slightly going over it. I'm gonna get a little bit more water, take that mixture I have of the second and third, and then I'm gonna kind of go in on top and on the bottom to kind of help that blend here. And while it's still wet, clean your brush, second tone, got too much of it. I'm gonna blend that back down here. I'm gonna clean my brush, straight second tone. I'm gonna blend it up. You can see how it's blending, and I'm just gonna go back and forth now and kind of blend everything that I've kind of worked on. Boom. So that blend seems a little bit better there from what we originally had. All right, and then I'm gonna take a little bit of more second tone here, and I'm just gonna fix this edge part here at the very bottom. Like I said, I'm just kind of brushing it along, and you don't have to be so harsh with it. And then we're gonna let that be. I think that's good for right now. We'll let it dry. We'll come back later. Where are we at on time? We are in 40 minutes in. So, as you can see, painting does take time. I know there are some people out there who can paint really fast and create amazing pictures within an hour. Yada, yada, yada. That is not me. That is probably not going to be you when you're first starting to learn how to paint. Painting takes time, especially with acrylics, because if you're looking to get smooth blends, you kind of have to work a certain way, and you kind of have to work fast because acrylics do dry fairly quickly, especially if you're not using slow dry mediums. Like I said, I don't want to use slow dry mediums because I want you guys to be able to feel like you don't have to go out and buy 20 different things before you start. That's why I said I wanted to keep the brushes pretty simple and the paints very simple. If anything, grab your black and white. We can work from there. And then grab like your if you wanted to start working with color, grab your red, your blue, and your yellow, and then we can work on mixing colors that way. You may not be able to create all the colors in the rainbow that you would like with red, yellow, and blue because, you know, you have like cyan and magenta, and those colors that can also add variety and vibrance, and give you more variety in your color scale and mixing. But if we're just going basic primary colors, your red, blue, and yellow, and there's different types of red, like primary red, and then you have oh my god, I can't think. Then you have like your crimson red and stuff like that. A medium, some type of red will do. It might be darker or lighter than what I might have, but that doesn't matter. As long as it's you can try to get, you can kind of get similar colors with what I'll be mixing to what you'll be mixing if it's not the exact color. So what we're going to do is I'm going to wrap it up for right now. I thought I was going to try to get all of this done, but it's kind of running late. Like I said, we're kind of already hitting the close to an hour mark. I feel like this is a good start. You guys have been able to see the blending and how we will do blending. Once again, like I said, because we're working with very thin layers, you can kind of see how you're seeing through these washes pretty much that we're kind of putting down, and that's fine. That's okay. It's just you're just slowly building up the painting. You guys can work on actually building up the painting now after taking this break. If you need to go back and want to do more layers, you can go ahead and do that. If you want to try blending with other things, other parts of the flower, feel free to go ahead and do so. Don't feel like you have to try to follow along exactly like I'm doing. Even when I get done with this painting, because it has been a while since I've painted, this is not going to be my best work. That's okay. Kind of getting back into the groove of things when it comes back to painting. Don't feel like your first painting has to be perfect, because remember, you can do this painting as many times as you want, and you don't have to show people your work, until you feel confident or you feel like you create a piece that you are willing to show. So you can have tons of throwaway pieces. That is completely fine. I just want you guys to feel comfortable enough to actually just start playing with your paints, trying to do a simple image. And I know it's a flower, so it's not as simple as it possibly could be, but I feel like this is probably as simple as you can get with creating an actual image. So I'll leave that for right now. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you need to go back and rewatch it multiple times, that's completely fine. If you finish the blending and maybe I went too fast and you want to go back and add maybe 3 more layers to the flower, rewind them, play that part back, and just work on that until you feel you got it down. If you guys have any comments or questions, let me know. We'll try to answer those in the next video, or the next drawing that we do, or just answer them right off the bat in the comment, reply back to your comments. But let me know what you guys might want to see after we finish this Lily. Like, what would be the next subject that you would like for us to paint, whether it be like a still life, or something fantasy, or like a different flower, or like an animal. And if it's something that I haven't done before, we will learn together. So that's it for right now, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will talk to you guys later. Peace out.